It's casual, not formal. It's hosted by Rory Pendlin, and Renee in tow. It's time to start the show. 1, 2, 3, go!
Hello, welcome to another episode of It's Casual. We've been taking some time off. This is episode 107. We've got some good shows planned for the next 6 weeks or so. But this show is kind of special to me because this is a guy that I worked with, a very close friend I worked with when I was doing scare acting around the turn of the century. God, I'm dating myself. Unfortunately, we found out today that we lost one of the cast members that we used to work with. Let me go ahead and bring up Charles Healan so that he can be part of this. There he is, scare actor extraordinaire. I'm wearing my gray vest in honor of your characters.
I wasn't for so many gray vests.
If you're going to be a scare actor, definitely get a gray vest in your costume wardrobe. So this morning we're both at work and we find out that one of our coworkers, one of our friends, good friends, Jonathan Seven, had passed away, and I was stunned. I mean, I've had people who are connected to family pass away the last couple of years, and I wasn't as stunned or emotional as I was this morning when I found out about Jonathan, because he was just a really sweet guy and a wonderful person, human being. I don't think I've ever seen him. I don't think I ever saw him angry at anything. You know, he was just that kind of guy, and that made him. Yeah, I'm already starting to tear up. That made him just a fun guy to work with.
Yeah.
You know. So we have a little quick slideshow of some pictures from his Facebook feed there. That shows some of the characters that he did, and coffins. It's Skull Kingdom. There was a lot of coffins that were being sold around between cast members. I remember I had Drax coffin for a little while. It was Dracula coffin. Good times. Yeah, I had 2 coffins stored in my garage. Ashboro Drive. Then I had to get rid of them.
I literally have 2 life-size skeletons to my right in my windows. That's
he liked motorcycles too.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Look at that fat vampire, will you? My goodness.
Yeah, it's like I'd have to say, like I was telling you earlier, Rory, like I'm not really on Facebook much more, and so Dan Carroll called me and told me about it, and I read one of Dan's quotes about Jonathan this morning, and he put it perfectly that the only time he ever heard Jonathan shout was when he was in character.
Yeah.
You know, that's the only time he used his voice, because like he was so calm and collected, and just like you said, like you looked at him and you're like, oh, who's this guy? This rapscallion. And then like he was like the sweetest human being.
Rapscallion.
Rapscallion.
Yeah, I think the loudest thing he ever did was I'll kill ya. Which was the character at Skull Kingdom that we all knew and loved. This is one of his old vampire characters. But yeah, he was just a really. I loved his dark sense of humor. We all had a kind of a dark sense of humor. You gotta if you're in the scare act business, I think. But he had this like deadpan delivery. Oh, nice. That looked good when I saved it. Anyway, and he's having a laugh at me right now.
Oh yeah, 100%.
But yeah, I mean, I just loved his deadpan delivery and his humor, and again, he was just a very kind soul, you know. And you don't run into people like that a lot anymore.
Yeah. I don't know, between him today and Jim Favor,
Yeah,
it's been a rough last few years when it comes to
yeah,
our Skull Kingdom family. It's been pretty tough.
yeah, yeah. Another one that we had lost a few years ago. Um, uh, but okay, we're going to dedicate this show to Jonathan,
Yeah.
and we're going to move on. We're going to get back to what we're here for. So I want to start out by asking you, where do you hail from originally?
I was born in a small town in North Florida called. It's very close to Pensacola. My dad
Okay.
was.
I'm sorry, and that could you say that again?
It was
The name?
stationed. It was a small town called Milton, Florida.
Milton. Okay.
It's close to Pensacola in the Panhandle up north.
Yeah.
I didn't live there very long. I was literally a few months old when my parents moved us down to Central Florida. My
Okay.
dad in the Navy, and so he was stationed in Central Florida when I was born. So.
In the Navy, but stationed in Central Florida.
Well, no, he was stationed in the Panhandle, Milton, like the Navy.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you are a Florida boy. You were in Central Florida most of your life.
Yes.
You've been in Central Florida, I should say, because you're in Central Florida now.
Yeah.
Okay. So in your youth, what do you think might have kind of shaped you to go down the pathway that you've taken with your life to become a performer? And we'll go with that, performer.
Okay.
For now.
For now. Well, to be quite honest, I was always a weird kid. My little brother is 5 years younger than me. So for 5 years, I was an only child. I was brought up in the 70s on a TV show. I was a TV child, and the show was called Creature Feature.
Yeah.
And as a kid, I watched that show religiously.
Yeah.
And literally had it in my head because where we lived, we lived for a while in DeLand that I remember. I was brought up. There weren't a lot of kids around the neighborhood, so I didn't really have anybody to play with.
DeLand is mostly old folks, huh?
Yeah, it was. And I remember we had some old neighbors. And this is like I must have been between 3 and 4, and I can actually remember this. We had an old couple that lived a few houses down, and they'd have their grandkids down every once in a great while. And I remember getting extremely excited because there was kids around, and I had someone to talk to and play with. But with absence of that Creature Feature, I kind of had convinced myself that these monsters in Creature Feature were actually my friends.
Wow.
Yeah, and so like I look forward to seeing Creature Feature and Godzilla and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
One of the best gifts that I ever got for Christmas was a cassette recorder, a portable cassette recorder.
Yeah.
To run around the house, and especially like when my brother had just been born, I run around the house recording like on blank cassette tapes, recording hits and stuff. And even before my brother could talk, I'd get him involved in these little performances and little radio shows and stuff. So I was hot to trot from the beginning, man.
I also had a cassette recorder when I was a kid, and I used to tape TV shows in the afternoon because we didn't have VCRs and DVDs back then. Right. Like you said, in the 70s, but Batman would come on in the afternoon, and the Three Stooges. So I would record all of that stuff and listen to it later on. Yeah. Like you said, on those cheap blank cassette.
Oh yeah. Rory, it's funny because I still actually have those cassettes.
Wow.
I still have them. I kept them all these years, and I know, like you said, I taped some of them. I still have a couple of Muppet Show episodes because I was a huge, like I never missed an episode of the Muppet Show, so I had that. I still have a bunch of my cassettes.
Isn't it funny that they couldn't sell that show here? They had to sell it in England.
Right? I know.
Yeah, and it became a humongous hit. Everybody watched that show.
Yeah.
But a lot of people will be like, why do they have Peter Sellers on? Why do they would have some British people that we don't even know who the hell they are?
Yep. Yeah. And people are always like, oh, the Muppets are for kids. Muppets are for kids. And my one example of why the Muppets are not for kids is the Peter Sellers episode, like you're talking about, which literally
it's a great episode
about drinking and fighting people. Not for kids, man. The pilot episode was called Sex and
Cigarettes and Whiskey and Wild Women. They sing that song in that episode. I remember that.
Yeah, I love that one. So good.
Oh yeah, they did a lot of adult humor stuff that they got away with on that show. I mean, it was amazing. And again, it was a chance for the Sesame Street characters to cut loose.
Yeah,
I know, do their own thing.
I mean, originally he didn't want to be in, like, he didn't want his Muppets to be involved with children. You know what I mean? Not exactly be involved with, but be associated with. He wanted to do more experimental things and do more adult type things. And it's just that Children Television Workshop was an opportunity for him to grow. And so
that was the money. That's where the money came from. I remember seeing an old clip from like the early 60s where the Muppets were on, I think it was the Jimmy Dean show.
Oh, yeah.
And Ralph the dog was there.
Yep.
And he actually said during an interview with Jimmy Dean, he was just sitting there talking with Jimmy Dean. He goes, "Ain't that a bitch?"
Yeah.
And he set up Jimmy Dean. Jimmy Dean couldn't stop laughing.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
And they got away with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, besides public access, I mean, that was for a while, that was his shtick. He'd be on talk shows. You know what I mean? And yeah, like you said, like Ralph was like, he was like a freewheeler. He was, he had a mouth on him.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get back to you. And how long have you been a performer? I mean,
oh geez. I mean, I did things in like little things in high school and elementary, but I started actually like performing for money would be like I want to say Haunted Grimhouse was my first. I started at a haunted attraction in Old Town, Florida called the Haunted.
Okay. I was going to ask you if you'd been part of Grimhouse or Terror on Church Street.
Yeah, that's where I started. It's not anymore. It's just weird to say. It was a year-round haunted attraction, a very small hole-in-the-wall mom and pop place. But the thing is that place had so much charm and character. And yeah, I mean, that's where I got my spooky legs, besides.
So, now that was a thing that was there was like an area in the center of everything where like one or two actors pretty much did the whole show.
Oh yeah.
Am I correct?
Yes.
This is what I'm hearing from other people that were there, Sydney Dragon and other people that were there.
Yeah.
So you would just like throw on a different mask or something and you could pop out of another hole.
Literally, there was someone downstairs who would run the cash register. And then there was one actor in a robe. And then we all had our own masks. So we'd be downstairs kind of like scaring people on the street to get them involved.
Mm-hmm.
And that's actually where I met Sydney. Sydney was working there. And I started working, and Sydney's charisma. He just started blah, 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 blah. And
there
so
you go.
Friends. Yeah, but one person would go upstairs, and it's interesting. The haunt was literally a trail that revolved around an indoor haunt. The trail revolved around one single room where the actor could bounce back and forth and hit all these different scares, as the haunt went and wound through the house. It was actually very an ingenious
Setup.
setup. Yeah, exactly. But I mean, it was fun for what it was. You know what I mean? And the thing is, it's like it depended on who you were working with in the night, how fun it would be, and how good the haunt would be. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't care that it was a tiny little mom and pop place. I was gonna try to scare the crap out of people. You know, and I put my heart and soul into it. You know,
because that's what we did.
Exactly. So it was a fun
So
time.
did you actually move on to Terror on Church Street, or did you go to Skull Kingdom next?
No, I wish I would have been able to have worked Terror. That was kind of like the holy grail back then. But Sydney had he left Grimm? I think he left Grimm for Skull, and I had had a disagreement with one of the owners of Grimm House.
Okay.
Put in my 2 weeks, and I didn't have another form of payment, like money coming in. So I talked to Sydney, and he said that they were going to be hiring for Halloween, and he put a good word in for me. And so I went over there, and and so I started at Skull and met all you guys. I was out. I was there for that Halloween, and then they laid, I guess, a bunch of people off, and I was kind of on hiatus. And then I came back that Christmas, and then I was like, Doug got me on full time because he knew what my situation was. I'd go out handing out flyers for a very long time. He'd literally, I owe Doug a lot for that situation. Like, I'd literally go out and just spook people on the street, hand out flyers. He just kind of like made up a position for me so that I'd have a few hours, you know what I mean, to survive.
This were the discount tickets that you would give out to people on International Drive.
Yeah, we
drive in that area.
Yeah, I'd walk up and down I-Drive all the way down to like, now it'd be like Wonderworks, you know what I mean? Like down there towards the convention center, and then, back down and, in my spooky makeup.
So okay, let's tell the audience about the various characters or the various positions as far as scare acting, a haunted attraction. Yeah, you have a guy that goes out on the street to get people's interest, and he, again, might give them a coupon for $5 off or a discounted ticket.
Right.
You buy 2 tickets, you get 1 free, that kind of thing. Is there a title for that person, or is?
Well, as far as I remember, they'd have kind of, I guess you'd call it the couponer, which would go and do that. I mean, at least at Skull, we'd have someone doing that, and then we'd had someone separate, which we were called the walk around.
Okay, yeah,
kind of hover out front to get people's attention,
closer to the attraction. Yeah,
exactly, to kind of like entice people in. Yes, exactly. Build them up. But the couponer most of the time was kind of a separate thing that they'd literally leave the property and go wandering around out,
right,
like down the street and whatnot. So, and
hopefully wouldn't get picked up by the police.
I know, so. But yeah.
So inside you had the front cash, which again also in makeup and costume, and they would take your money basically and set you up in front of the first impact, which was a curtain. Yeah. And this was the same at Grimm House?
Grimm House was literally, like I said, it was a 2-person deal. The 2 people when it was slow, which was a lot of the times because Old Town was dead a lot. Wow. So both of us, the 2 people, would be out kind of like wandering around stalking and spooking people to get people to come in.
Yeah.
We'd have the person at the register, they'd ring people up. The person downstairs at Grimm would usually get 1 scare in, and then the rest of everything else was the actor upstairs. That was
the middle.
Yep. Yeah. So it's literally just the 2 people doing everything.
So yeah, I came in after you at Skull Kingdom.
Did you?
Robin, Yeah, Robin Harris, Robin Watkins. I'm sorry,
Ah.
Robin Harris is an old comic. Robin Watkins, who I can't even remember. I think maybe it was Arabian Nights Dinner Theater where I met Robin. And
Oh, really?
I was doing like the D genie. They would call me if nobody else wanted to do it,
Yeah.
And he goes, well, he goes, you're kind of funny. You ever thought about doing, scare acting? And I said, I'm an actor. Just you put me in the right direction, yeah. And like you, again, I grew up on Creature Feature, and I love monsters. And when I was a kid, that's all I drew was monsters and Godzilla. Huge Godzilla fan. That's something else that we share, that we're kin. Oh, by the way, have you seen the latest one?
Which one? You talking about -1, or you're talking about the Kong verse?
Kong and well, -1's actually kind of passed now, and it was awesome, but Godzilla versus I never know which name comes first. They always switch them. Godzilla X Kong.
I guess it's just I have like two different versions of the new one, because I have the new one, which is like the plastified popcorn, like, oh, this is fun Godzilla movie where they're just like going crazy and everything's ridiculous. And then you have -1, which is the serious, like, oh yeah, this
right.
is so
right.
There's
like,
two
man, this is Academy Award winning material. Yeah.
Yeah, and like Godzilla vs. Kong, it was a
so
movie.
You answered my question. You did see Godzilla X Kong New Empire.
Yeah, I saw.
Like you say, it was just a battle fest. It was a Showa film. It was just
100%.
a plethora of monsters and like 65% monster action.
Yeah, it was a lot of ridiculous.
So I had fun.
Yeah, exactly. It's not an Oscar winner.
No.
So, but yeah.
So and then they get the first impact with the greeter. The greeter brings them into the haunt.
Yeah.
And then cuts them loose at one point, and then they've got to get out of the house on their own.
Yep.
And that was Skull Kingdom, basically. And they had different what is the word I'm looking for here?
Rooms,
different scenes set up, from Frankenstein, Alien, even
right.
Blair. They threw the Blair Witch in there towards the end.
Yeah, right after everybody was like, we all went and saw that movie together, and then everyone, we need to make a room.
Threw up, and then hey, we got to do that.
Yep.
Can we make the room shake? We want to make people throw up.
Yeah. So, yeah, we didn't have the greeter character in Grimhouse. We just kind of ran upstairs.
Right.
They walked up themselves. But Skull, that's like, I remember going to Skull and being like, oh, these are actual acting roles. And that blew my mind, because like I was just mostly a monster, every once in a while. I did pick up what we called the supervisor position, which was the downstairs, cashier. And I'd try to put in my own shtick and speak to people in an accent and all stuff like that. But
and usually that's good.
Yeah.
I caught your shtick at the haunted forest, the petrified forest.
Right. But Skull was the first one that they were like, yeah, this is an actor role. And I was like, ooh.
Yeah.
I was like so down with that,
Yeah, well, that's when I came in. I think that's what they were looking for, and I said, well, yeah, I've done lots of stage and stuff, and I love monsters, and
right.
I know this cute cherubic face is going to be hard to be scared, But then we came up with a whole bunch of really weird characters for me to do, and I was going out and buying teeth and stuff and contact lenses, and we made it work.
See, I think, oh my God, it's like Skull Kingdom to me. It was just a very good time in my life, because I was going through a lot at that time period, but it was such a crazy experience where there were so many incredibly talented people. And I know that you've had a couple of them on your show.
And fun people, and just fun people to work with.
Right. And people that, like, to this day, I still keep in touch with, you know what I mean? I'm not keeping in touch with people, but I still know and keep in touch with these people. And there was just so much talent involved. And when you had a good crew there, you had a good crew.
Yeah.
Like, people are gonna run away.
Halloween there was the best.
Yeah.
because they throw everybody into the show. And we
Yeah.
get to play characters that we didn't get to play on a regular basis. I got to play Cletus the Redneck Zombie on Halloween.
And it was also, it was like to me, it was kind of like a renaissance of creativity because they did give us so much freedom to be creative with what we wanted to do. I mean, hell, I came up with Santino. You know what I mean? Like I literally had a goblin character with friggin' horns on my head.
Okay, that's a great cue in to show some of your characters here. Let's show some of those characters. If Renee, you're listening, can we start up that slideshow again? This is more recent.
Yeah, this is a cosplay that I did with some friends of mine. I was doing Billy from Hocus Pocus.
Right.
And that's Son's the wig, but my friend Leah Malone, she did the makeup for that. She's absolutely fantastic.
That's a good job. It
yeah.
is. Now, is that with airbrush or?
That was airbrush. Most of this is airbrush.
Yeah, a lot of times they'd have to do us quickly, so they would do it with airbrush. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the time I knew about airbrush makeup was Skull Kingdom. That's the first time to me it was like so revolutionary.
Yeah.
You know, I thought that was so.
There he is.
There's
Santino. Yeah, you actually liked it. You would come in early. I would do the same thing and say, you know, really work on me.
Yeah.
Make something.
Well, yeah, there was a few of us that, and to this day, I'm the same way, that if a makeup person wanted to do, you know, prosthetics or whatever, I was like, I'll sit in the chair for 2 hours, 3 hours, and it doesn't bother me. I will just let you do whatever, because to me, the less that I look like a human being, the happier that I was in a character.
There you go.
Yeah, that's oh my gosh, what's his name? Stingy Jack. That was for Gatorland.
That's right. Dan Carroll had you come out to Gatorland for some Halloween stuff.
Yeah, this is actually this last Halloween. This is another. Yeah, that Stingy Jack is just this recent Halloween. This is Mr. Buddy. That's a character that I did for Petrified Forest.
Petrified Forest. It looks like it.
With
a lot of overalls in Petrified Forest.
Yeah, and this is that's Jack Frost. That's a character that I do. I've been doing seasonally for Gatorland for Christmas, their Christmas event. So I do more than the spook stuff. Even though it looks like I ate a school bus of children there. And this is our Lederhosen Frankenstein that we had for October.
Know. I just Lederhosen. I was like, wow.
Yeah, that's
but it makes sense. You know, he's a European monster.
Yeah, like I said, it was for their Gatorland's Oktoberfest, and Dan asked me if I wanted to do it a few years back, and that's how I got my foot in the door for Gatorland.
Oh, okay. And
this is a character we did for the Hunt Monsters promo that we were supposed to. It was supposed to be a little series. And a bunch of us worked on. Tim Hayes did the makeup for this, and his was Jinx because Dan liked that name.
Again, I was going to talk to you about your nicknames. You have a couple of nicknames from performing. One is the Mayor.
Yeah, which he did not like.
Which you did not like. And Jinx. Jinx is the one that most people call you. And I see that you put that down there as your, here's my favorite, Popeye.
Oh. Yeah, I hang out with Studios.
Universal Studios.
That's right.
Islands of Adventure, right?
Yes, sir.
Cartoon area.
Well, he'll be on the other side, but this is my wife.
This is Kim, your better half.
That's right.
She's also a performer. She does a lot of interesting characters for Universal Studios. Now, she also does shows at Universal Studios, like she was in the Jason Bourne show, right?
Yeah, she was in the Jason Bourne show. She's worked at Jurassic Park with the Raptors. She's done puppeteering at Universal in their parades.
Okay.
Yeah, she's done a bunch of stuff. Not to mention, she's done dinner theater locally around here at Capone's, as well as I do that as well. That's one of my other gigs. She's worked
Dinner
at
theater.
Nice. What's that?
Dinner theater. Nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's worked at Gaylord Palms. She used to work for Oddities at SeaWorld a long time ago. Yeah, this is our Christmas parade that she did. Back. So our Macy's parade that we had. Yeah, that's Gaylord Palms, the Candy Countess. And then she, on the right there, she was a starfish for Oddities for the SeaWorld Halloween event that they used to have a few years back. I think pre-COVID, honestly.
And you have a cat.
And that's in my cat, Lily. She was actually in here just a second ago. Yes. It looks like she's trying to eat my ear.
We love cat cameos. So after Skull Kingdom changed hands. And most of us were like, well, that's it. I'm out of here.
Yeah.
I mean, I had a good 3-year run there, and I was like, okay, I'm done. We're not going to do this anymore. I'd moved on I was doing more comedy at the time, and I'd gotten a job working at Valencia Community College doing audiovisual work, and so I was like, I'm not going to deal with this. So, but I missed it. Where did you go from there?
Well, I can remember getting a little disheartened. This is like before it had changed hands. A little disheartened with Skull. I was getting a little burnt out with. There was a lot of at the end. It kind of the last like 6 months. There was a bit of like personality rivalries that were happening.
Mm-hmm.
And, it got a little sad to me, and I was offered by Alan Hops to go out to Texas.
Okay.
To do a haunt out there for a Halloween season. And what I'd planned to do is we had planned to go out there to Texas and kind of start our own thing out there.
Mm-hmm.
It was a haunted theme park called Adamsville Terror Complex, and we were going to get it going. So I put my 2 weeks at Skull and decided, I'm going to go out there, live in Texas. We're going to do the haunt life out there. That didn't exactly pan out. There was a bunch of stuff that happened there, and I ended up coming back to Florida. And when I did, I had found out, because I came back jobless because I was supposed to stay out there in Texas. I'd found out that I was still on the books at Skull, and the new owner of Skull, Zia, which there's lots of stories about that man.
Yes.
Yeah. So he had his hand in a lot. A very controlling human being. And I was like, you know what? I'll pick up some shifts because I needed money. And I can remember going in there.
Oh, so you're one of the few that actually endured that.
Well, I went back once, and I saw how much it changed just in the couple months that I'd been away. And it was very depressing because I had known Skull Kingdom and what it was in the beginning was glorious.
Right.
I saw what it at that point what it had become, and it was not in any way the same. And I can remember sitting in the break room watching the movie. Like I said, this is my first day back in a few months, and Zia walked through the door, and his first words to me are, "What are you doing in here?" And I looked at him, and that was our break space. And I was like, I'm watching a movie. And he's like, "You're not supposed to be in here. You're supposed to be upstairs on your on your break." And I'm like, no one said anything to me, And so I just, because I was already upset and depressed, I just kind of looked at him, and he just like went in the office, and I just continued watching my movie. And he came back out and he looked at me and stared at me.
What are you still doing here?
He never said another thing to me. And then at the end of my shift, I never went back.
Oh man.
It was I just did that one stick. It's like people like Sydney and Ivan who stayed so long, and their stories about that man and that situation so terrible. And I didn't know a lot of that at that point. You know what I mean? I just got that feeling. I'm like, I'm not doing this anymore. Yeah.
Well, I believe the Skull Kingdom, by the time he purchased it, was losing money. and it continued to lose money because it wasn't good anymore. He had changed it into something it wasn't supposed to be, with magic shows and cold pizza parties in the back, and stuff that I had heard, and all the cool stuff and the sets and stuff had been changed. I had heard, so it just wasn't as good as it was, and when it was good, it wasn't making as much money as it could.
Right.
So I imagine, that the last 6 months where it was just going down, the money was going down, and the reputation was going down, and everything. That must have been terrible for him. And I like that thought.
I do.
He was just losing money, and he was stressing out, and these ulcers and whatnot.
Yeah.
Because, again, I've heard the horror stories too. It's just, you shouldn't treat people like that.
Yeah. And I mean, as well as I do, any good performing gig, like the heart and soul are the actors. You know what I mean? That's what, I mean, you can take a crappy little nothing and you give it life by having the performers who have heart and soul and talent. And that's what Skull Kingdom was. Like, we had a lot of heart and soul and talent. And from what I've heard, Zia showed up and very, very quickly chased everyone away. And I just, like I said, everyone just went. A lot of people went in a very quick period of time, and some of the others who just couldn't let go, they stayed on for a while, and eventually even they, because they couldn't deal with them. I've heard so many. It was just kind of like a comic book villain. You know what I mean? A Scrooge McDuck or something. And
you will go upstairs.
What can I do to make these people miserable? It's absolutely insane to think that one human being could have chased off so much talent, and not even really realize that he did it.
They usually don't. Yeah, that's the sad part.
Yeah.
Why are they always so upset with me?
Yeah, exactly. So,
well, I'll take you on to happier times. When did you end up at Universal Studios?
Universal, it was actually right after that time period.
Yeah.
I remember putting in randomly putting in an application for Universal, and I landed a crystal job at Islands of Adventure. Yeah, it was at a crystal shop in Lost Continent, where they basically blew glass. They had blown glass.
Okay.
So I was basically sales, and that was miserable for me because I'm not a salesperson. I was just
selling crystal.
Yeah. I was trying to, just make a paycheck. And so I didn't last very long there, like maybe 3 months. And then I put in my 2 weeks and left. And then I heard that they were auditioning.
Okay.
I don't even remember where. Again, it was like some months after that, maybe 6 months after that. So I was like, you know what? I'd auditioned so many times and never got anything. And I was like, I'll just do it, whatever. And so I showed up, and they took me in, and they paired me up with a guy and had us do the improv game where you tell a story back and forth, one word each. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And luckily, the guy that I was paired up with was very talented. And so we went and we made the guys laugh. And I left there going, okay, well, at least that was fun. I'm not going to get a job, but at least that was fun. And ended up landing an improv role at Universal. The video game character Crash Bandicoot.
Okay.
Basically, it was Crash Bandicoot. He had a megaphone, and I could talk to people and improv. I basically made fun of people all day because he's supposed to be sarcastic, and yeah. And so
we love to do at Skull Kingdom.
Exactly.
So that was the great thing about the job, was you could just insult people. And Sydney was the best. You could just insult people, and they took it. They would just laugh. Can we get away with that today?
I learned so much from watching you guys do your thing. You know what I mean? Like, so many things that I've picked up from all you guys watching you. Like you said, like Sydney had those one-liners, like bam, bam, bam. He like something for every single, you know what I mean? Like, crazy. It's like someone bring in a
Buffer,
a baby penguin. He'd have something for a baby penguin. I don't know. Yeah. So, but yeah. I mean, I was not expecting to get anything, and I think that's probably why I got something, because I just didn't care. And I was like, I'm not gonna get
Act
anything.
like it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I was like, literally, like, I'm not going to get anything from
I
this.
want to throw this job at you.
Yeah, and I wasn't nervous. And then, now it's literally 22 years later.
Wow. Does
Yeah.
fly, doesn't it?
I know.
Doesn't it?
Insane, man. Insane.
So now is that where you met Kim?
I did. I met Kim at a 2015. I went to the Halloween Horror Nights team member preview, which they do that every year for team members before they open to the public. They let us go through.
Okay.
And Kim was on the other side of the park. She had started with the Superstar Parade, which was, I think she had been hired like 6 months before, and she didn't really have any friends. And one of our mutual friends, my friend Katie, invited her along to our little group to go through the houses, and she seemed like a really cool girl. So after the night was over, I messaged her on Facebook and I was like, hey, it was really cool to meet you and have fun. I was like, if you ever want to go do something, hit me up. That'd be cool, whatever. And she was like, yeah, that sounds fun.
And history was made.
Yeah, well, I kept, after that, every once in a while, I'd ask her, hey, what are you doing this time? And she'd be like, well, I'm working. I'm like, okay. And then I'd ask her again, hey, what are you doing this time? Oh, yeah, I'm working. I'm like, all right. What are you doing this time? Oh, I got sick. And then I'm like, okay, this girl wants to have nothing to do with me. Like, I'm going to back off. Not actually realizing that the girl was a workaholic and she was being serious. Like, every time she was like sick or like, I was like, I'm not going to.
I'm sick because I'm working too much.
But then, yeah, and then out of the blue, one day she was like, hey, did you still want to go do something? I'm like, well, where'd this come from? I was like, oh, yeah. Yeah, and then we just started hanging out, so yeah.
It sounds like a Hallmark script right there.
Yeah, so, yeah.
I am so happy for you, my friend. You two are just so cute together. It's unbelievable. What are some of your favorite characters and shtick that you've done throughout the ages?
Well, I mean, to be quite honest, last year, Pride Fours, my character, Mr. Buddy, was a complete and total hoot, man. He was so dude. That was like the grown man and the little boy out.
Now, when we did Petrified Forest together, and you helped pull me in on that, I appreciate that. That was my first year back from China, and I didn't know what the hell I was going to do. And you were doing a waiter character that was really funny.
Yeah, I was the maitre d' that year. Yeah. Yeah, I was wondering when you're going to come back.
Yeah, I kept telling myself you should go back and I'll tell them that you're interested again, and I just didn't do it.
Yeah.
So, but I had a lot of fun. Yeah, I mean, it brought back a lot of Skull Kingdom memories, and had a lot of fun playing the character. I was basically doing Mad Jack.
Yeah.
All over again with Bubba teeth.
Yeah,
that was a lot of fun.
Characters you had, you were like a character collector, like you were collecting like Pokemon.
Yeah, Dan Carroll used to make fun of me and all my teeth.
I know. I'd come.
Yeah, I've got pictures of all of them. Again, we all try to do different characters so that we could, take photos in crazy outfits and crazy makeup.
Completely like the Dr. Lau of Skull Kingdom characters. You know what I mean? Like, he always had. But then they all had different personalities, all had different quirks, and I'm like, bravo, man, bravo! This guy's insane.
Yeah, again, when I do a character, it's got a whole backstory, and I'm ready for anything that anybody throws at me.
Yeah,
I will answer it in character. What would you say is the craziest thing that ever happened to you while you're performing?
Oh, actually, just this last Halloween, I was performing Mr. Buddy, and what I do with Mr. Buddy is just an insane child energy. And I just go up and I ask people just the most random questions and just
okay. Give us a little sample of the voice and the character.
Right, yeah. Yeah, Mr. Buddy, how you doing? You know, that type of thing. So, I'm like I said, I'm literally dressed like a child. I have like a little cowboy hat, sheriff star on it, and shorty shorts, but I'm like, I have blood all over me, and my eyes are. So,
You're obviously insane.
yeah, it's the juxtaposition. And I went up to a group of teenagers, and they're teenagers. They look like they're like frat boys, you know, tall guys.
Mm.
And I go up and I'm, hey guys, what you doing? Da, da, da. And they looked at me, and both of them, they're just like, wow, you're sexy. And I, without missing a beat, I'm like, oh, so you like little kids, huh? Yeah. I was like, okay. But then they go, yeah.
Oh, jeez.
And I turned to their friends. And I go, you need to get new friends. And I walked off. And I was like, I'm not touching that. I just walked away.
They scared Mr. Buddy.
I talked to security. I'm like, hey guys, watch out for these people.
Keep an eye on those guys.
Yeah. I was like, because usually that would shoot people down when people would start to, you know what I mean? Like, no one
hope you keep your hands to yourself.
Yeah. Like, oh, you like little children? Yeah. So that was a little disturbing, to be honest.
I can see how that'd be a crazy moment for you. You don't expect people to turn the tables on you when you're scare acting.
Yeah. Most of the time, I can come up with something pretty quick, but that was a little too much.
I remember that in Skull Kingdom we used to get all excited when the Brazilian tour buses would come in. We got a whole bus full of Brazilian tourists. And when they would walk through the trampoline, we would just clobber them through that trampoline. Whatever voice, or we would do. I would like to do when Sydney and I were up there. We would do the Mars Attacks aliens because it was just so off-putting,
Yeah.
But sometimes if Dana was up there, we'd do clown laughing and horns and stuff. Because they were heading into clown area.
Yep. Yeah. That trampoline beginning of right into our circus area. Yeah, clown area.
What would you say your philosophy is on scare acting?
My philosophy?
Yeah. What advice can you give to newbies who want to start scare acting, doing haunt attractions?
Well, I would say number one, don't ever take yourself too seriously. You know what I mean? Because you think too much on the situation and you just don't have, I just kind of let things go. And to be honest, and this isn't probably going to sound very selfish, but a lot of times with my act, especially like comedy stuff, I kind of look to entertain myself. Like extremely selfish attitude, but in doing so, I end up entertaining people.
Right. If you're having a good time, why not?
I'm looking to someone and be like, what's going to make me laugh? What's going to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm going to do things just to be like, this is going to be amusing. I'm going to make fun of this person to amuse myself. And then other people end up laughing as a result. And I'm like, okay, this works. It works for me.
Obviously it's working for them too. That's good.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, that's basically it. Like I try not to take myself too seriously. Like Mr. Buddy, I was jumping on the ground and kicking and screaming like a child having a fit. You know what I mean? And people are like, I can't believe you do that. And I'm like I said, I'm just entertaining myself. I'm keeping myself amused. So
there was a guy working at Skull Kingdom towards the last year I was there, who was incredibly funny. Like naturally Jim Carrey kind of funny.
I know you're talking.
He used to play a janitor character.
Josh Calco.
Enid?
Huh?
Was his name Enid, the character?
Oh my God, I can't remember his name now.
Josh.
Ima something?
Ima. That's right. Ima was his name.
It was Josh Siniscalco.
Okay.
Yeah.
I when I watched him do shtick, I mean, he would have me in tears, and I was like, this guy if he doesn't become famous, if he doesn't make it, then there's something wrong in this world, because he was really, really, really funny.
Yeah,
and that's coming from a guy that's been making people laugh all of his life. That I've gotten on stage and done shows and stuff just to make people amuse people. He really, really had something magical about him that he was just very, very funny.
Yeah.
Period.
Dan just texted me. I'm a crazy.
I'm a crazy. No.
Was his last name. Yeah. Just text me. I'm a crazy. But that guy, I'm still surprised that I'm not seeing him in a Saturday Night Live skit. I'm like,
or somewhere, like on a show somewhere, like a TV show or something. But yeah, I actually got Doug's permission to take a video camera through the house for a couple of nights.
Yeah.
And just to kind of save it for posterity. And I remember giving you and him, the camera. And you guys, I've got those tapes somewhere. I don't know where they are. I've got them somewhere.
Yeah.
And the stuff that you guys came up with was hysterical. So much fun. He had the camera up under his chin, pointing up at his face. And he was going through the castle, looking around, and like real serious. You had a fight in the break room.
Yeah. Like I honestly,
he was hysterical, man. He had me in stitches most of the time he was there.
Yeah. Keeping up with him, it was just like he'd start something, and I was like, I'm just gonna do the best that I can to try to keep up with him. That was Josh, man. That guy is so incredibly funny and talented. I'm very fortunate. I'm very grateful to have gotten a chance to work with him like one-on-one. That was you too, man. You were a lot of fun to work with. We had some good. We had some good times.
Again, it was a family. It was a team. We all had fun. It was just like we like to play off each other and do crazy shit.
Yeah. And like I learned so many things from working with all you guys. You know what I mean? Like how to improv and character creation. You know what I mean? Like you said, like background stories and all.
You had all that by the time I got there. I thought. I felt.
I don't know. I feel like I've grown like so much as an actor just from like all you crazy guys. Like you guys were inspirational to me. You know what I mean?
Now I had a side question here. When you're doing street theater for the theme parks, do you have to audition every time you do a new character? Or once you get to a certain point, they're just like, hey, we got this character. We want you to try it. We want you to do it.
I mean, I have actually heard that happening before.
Yeah.
Most of the time, you just kind of have to. You go to an audition, and they kind of like have an idea of what they want you to do, and you'll come in for a callback, and then you basically like read the line for said character. You know what I mean? And then it goes from there. So sometimes you go to an audition looking to fill the role of one character, and you'll come out with a callback or two callbacks for something completely different that you didn't even think, that you'd be even fit for. So yeah, it's
I'm sorry. I blew it with Universal. The first time I auditioned for Halloween Horror Nights, they had me audition for Beetlejuice, believe it or not. And again, me being as heavy as I was back at that time. And I had the voice, but I didn't have they said, you need to watch the movie more. You need to watch him do the character more, because they said, you've nailed the voice. You've got it dead to rights. I mean, you're there. But you need to learn the characterization of how the character moves and how he, and I got a call back, or actually they said, we've cast you as a character. You're going to be a DJ at a party, and you're going to be possessed by different famous people. So you can use your voices. And I was like, oh, that sounds cool. That sounds great. I like it. And then for some reason, I was working at the freaking outlet mall or something at the time. They wouldn't give me the time off.
Oh,
they wouldn't give me enough time off to do it right. I had to end up calling them back going, I'm sorry, I can't do it. Sorry. Yeah. And I was just afraid to go back. It's like, no, you've been blackballed. You turned us down.
Yeah.
but I did do the guess your weight character there in Amity for like 6 months, which was fun, and I was doing it with an Italian accent. Hey, look at you! Hi, step up here. We see how much you weigh. You know, you step on the scale, and they're wondering why they weigh so much. That kind of shtick.
Yeah. I really miss that area, man. Amity was such a it's still there, but it's not the same without Jaws. You know what I mean? And all those.
Yeah, they call it something else now. Or it's part of the Simpsons. They moved it over to where the Simpsons thing is, the games.
Well, no, I think part of it was taken over by Potter, because that's where the first Potter land showed up at no, that wasn't the first Potter land. The second one, sorry, Diagon Alley. That's the one that showed up where Amity was, and I think they kind of like cut Amity in half. So it's still there. It's just very small, I believe.
Yeah, I just know all the games moved over to the Simpson area there. Yeah, the Simpsons ride. So if you want to, shoot baskets and stuff, you got to go over there.
Yeah.
So, any moments that stand out in your career as like something that you just cherish?
You talking about acting wise or just in my career?
Just in your career.
To be quite honest, it's going to sound savvy, but like literally like making the friendships that I have now. I've met so many awesome, great, fun people and personalities and caring individuals, and just to be able to have those people as a part of my life I'm just so grateful, and I feel so honored to have been allowed into literally a form of work where I play all day. We play, and we get to play with each other and just have a blast. And I mean,
agreed.
Just to do it.
Sappy.
Yeah.
Sorry. I couldn't resist. But no, that's true. It's the truth. You do get to work with great people. Yeah. If you're doing that kind of work, if you're doing live theater anywhere in any capacity, you're going to meet cool people, fun people,
weirdos.
They all have that dream,
Yeah.
They want to be performers. They want to make money for it. So, and have fun.
Yep.
Who doesn't want to get paid for having fun? I mean, seriously.
Yeah, 100%.
So, yeah. I need to branch out more, and get back into that, because what I'm doing now is just. I'm off on Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays now, so I think I'm going to start reaching out during holiday times and see what I can pull in.
Yeah, seriously, man.
There was to Dan about Gatorland and and
there was a long period of time where
when the petrified forest comes back around, maybe get involved again.
Yeah, there was a long period of time where I kind of put performing on the back burner, and a few years, and holy crap, I realized how important that is to me. When you're not doing it, when you don't have an outlet, it's when that's what you love doing, it's you can tell.
So what's in the near future for you?
For me, well, I don't know. I just recently I've been on a self-care kick. I've gotten back into taking martial arts, and I'm getting up there in age, and I'm like, what? It's something I've always wanted to do. Yeah. And I want to do that. I mean, I'm, still performing, still want to keep doing that. Until I'm in the grave, man, that's what I want to do.
So are you still doing Popeye, or is that getting already gone past?
It's one of those things. No, it's one of those things where it's a role that's coveted, and okay, Dan just texted me, "I'll fight you," and I don't know why. But it's one of those things where the men who do it are wonderful, but they're probably in that role for a while. You know what I mean? And I'm just kind of cool. I love hanging out with Popeye, but it's up to the fates. I'm not gonna.
Okay.
One of those things where I've kind of gotten to the point where I'm like, it happens, it happens. You know what I mean? That's
They
I'm
call
not,
you every now and again, say, "Hey, can you come on out and?"
yeah. Well, they have to brush you up every once in a while for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but I've also had people that have been like, "Hey, I have to do this. Is there any way you can pick up a shift?" And I'm like, "Oh, hell yeah, I can."
I'm there.
Yeah.
Damn straight.
Like that. It was one of my favorite movies of all time. You know, I fucking worked worshiped that movie as a kid.
Again, it's a brilliant movie.
Oh
And
yeah,
I've said it from the very beginning. This is brilliant. I mean, Altman did it exactly what he needed to. That city is, or that town is still there in Italy. It's a tourist attraction. People
yeah.
can go
And
to
Malta was
Malta. Yeah, it's Sweet
yeah,
Haven.
yep, yeah. I'm actually really surprised that with everything that becomes a musical these days, that they haven't made a Popeye musical because
Yes,
the music's
yes.
all there. Harry
I've been
Nelson
saying
wrote
that for
all
a
the
couple of
music.
years now. Yeah, why isn't this on Broadway, for crying
It's
out loud?
it's
They did
perfect,
Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
right?
Why not the
Yeah,
Popeye?
it's
It's
waiting to
all in one huge set, one place. You get a Sweet Haven,
right.
and the songs are wonderful.
Oh, they're so good. Ah,
So
that
why not?
track.
I
Harry
totally
Nilsson.
agree with that.
Harry Nilsson, man.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on and telling us about your career and in street performance and scare acting. And always good to see you, my friend.
Yeah.
It's a shame that Kim didn't get on there this time. She had to work, but hey, maybe we'll do another show somewhere down the line, and she can come and join us
Yeah.
and tell us all the bad stories about you.
Well, thanks for having me, Rory. It was really fun catching up with you. I had a
Yeah,
great
man. You take care, all right? And we'll see you everybody soon, I hope.